One. Hey everybody, it's Stephanie with the Learning Project, sending you strength and love, you guys. Today we have a very special segment called Girl, Get a Doula. Okay. I decided to really reach out to Keyonia. We had been talking for a while, and I would like to welcome Keyonia too. You guys may remember her from one of my other segments. I'm so glad to see her again. Welcome again.
Thank you. Good to see you too. You look beautiful. You're glowing.
Thank you. Thank you. I know my face is a little bit rounder for those that have not seen.
We call that pregnancy face. That's
Yes,
appropriate.
I am pregnant now, you guys. So I'm super excited about this journey. But I really wanted to share a piece of my journey that I think a lot of people don't talk a lot about. And Keyonia kind of has shared with me a little bit about her experience with a doula. Right now, during COVID-19, a lot of people are in a state where they can't have multiple people in the room. Okay. So you typically can have your spouse or your partner, and that's it. In some states, they are opened up. So this is not an experience that other people are having in some of the states that have already opened up, but there are other states that are still really closed. And so you are in a situation where you may have a birth partner or your spouse or whoever with you that really may not know what to be asking, may know what to petition, or how they can help you during your pregnancy. So I started looking into a doula because I heard people like Keyonia, a couple other of my friends are talking about this whole doula thing. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna look into a doula and see if it's the right thing for me. And I found that it was because one, I have been a part of a lot of people's births, but I realized that this is not something I can coach myself on. It's not like I can be present with myself and be like, hey, don't forget this, and my husband, this is his first time being a part of a birth. And so I felt a lot of anxiety about trying to put this pressure on him to be everything I needed him to be so I could have this really great birthing experience. And so I reached out to, and this is so crazy, let me tell you. So a friend of mine, her name is Dominique Wallace. I've got to give her a shout out, y'all. She'll be on one of our other segments. Hopefully Keyonia will be able to get her doula. I'll get my doula and we'll be like doulaing up.
That
But
would be awesome.
yes. And so Dominique, I had ran into her in the store and she was like, what are you up to now? We went to college together. And she was like, oh, I'm a doula. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what that is, but okay. And then when she started telling me more about what she does, I was like, okay, like I still didn't get it. And so I was telling her at that time, I was going through all this infertility stuff. And she was just like, Stephanie, make sure that, you're doing this or, checking on this and, definitely look into a doula. So fast forward, this was like almost a year ago when I saw her. And so maybe a little bit longer too. And so she says to me, if you ever need anything, reach out to me. And I remember that. And because we're in COVID-19 right now, we cannot have more than our spouse there. So I called her and I said, hey, are you a licensed doula? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, would you be interested in taking me on as a client? She was like, absolutely. So that's how I got kind of intertwined with my doula. And I decided to go with her just because I needed more information and I wanted someone there to support me, but also support my husband so that he could support me. And that's like the weird thing. Doulas, just to let you guys know, they don't do any like labor. They don't, deliver babies. They can't give you medical advice unless they have that background. My doula doesn't. So like she's not a licensed RN or any of that stuff, but the knowledge that she gives and the support that she gives before and during and after birth. So this has been a huge thing because I didn't realize that even though I have a very supportive community and I have both sets of grandparents, my brother lives here, my niece lives here, I have a very big family. My husband's family is huge. So we have a very wide support group. And so I thought that that would be enough for me, but really having a doula, somebody that's a little bit more focused on the birthing and labor and post labor experience is extremely important. So that's how I got connected with my doula. And that's why we're really talking about in this segment, girl, get a doula. Like if you need somebody
Absolutely.
there, like, and even if you don't know you need somebody there, I think having somebody there to help guide you and lead you is a huge thing. Also too, in some states, everything has gone online as far as um, your your training that you get for your labor. What is that called?
Virtual?
Yeah, it's the virtual. Oh, y'all, you know what I'm talking about, you all. So it's like when you go in with your partner and they Lamaze classes.
Yes. Okay.
All the Lamaze classes are virtual. What is it called? All of them are virtual. Also too, like your tours and the hospitals are virtual. So to have somebody that has gone into the hospitals and they know those layouts, I think it just really builds more confidence and it builds more security so that you can do what you need to do. So Keyonia, tell us a little bit about yourself and why did you choose to get a doula?
So first, Stephanie, before I start, I'm going to tell you that I'm glad that you decided to get a doula, even though she's not going to be there, because my doula actually didn't make it to my birth because it happened so fast. But
Wow.
but the all the work that we did throughout the 9 months of my pregnancy, it still had a tremendous impact. So I'm not going to say it didn't matter that she wasn't there, because of course I wanted her to be there, but she prepared me so well for the whole experience that I felt great about it. And of course, you know, my partner was involved, and so she supported us both and what we needed to do, what we should expect, and how he could support me in addition to the birthing classes we took. So I feel like your doula, I mean, it's nice if she can be there, of course, and that's always the plan, that's always the goal. But I feel like it's not an end all be all if she can't be there, because I feel like it was still as impactful as if she would have been there. But that's my experience. So, and I will say before I get into my personal story, it's really, really important that Black women get doulas. And I do understand, and hopefully legislation and laws and medical insurances, they're moving towards covering doulas, because they're not covered. I paid out of pocket. I'm sure you paid out of pocket. And we have insurance. And so they are not, it's not something that insurance pays for. I mean, I think it's happening, but slower than we need it to be happening. But Black women in particular need to have doulas, because all the statistics show that we have the lowest birth outcomes. That means that our babies are dying and our moms are dying at a very, very high rate.
Extremely high rate.
It doesn't have anything to do with socioeconomics. A woman, a professional woman like myself, I'm a mental health therapist. I have been practicing for 13 years. And my birth outcome, just because I'm a Black mom, is lower than a poor white mom. And that's a problem. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So, and that in itself is the reason why all Black women should have a doula, all of us. And when we can, we should move away from having our babies in the hospital when we can. Now, I'm not saying, you know, I understand there are different situations, right? But I feel like we need to have as many protective factors as we can, given the statistics, right? So I feel like not having our babies in the hospitals when we can, right? And having a doula and having as much support and education as we possibly can.
Absolutely. And I think something that you said that's really interesting, I just have to just dive into this, y'all, because, you know, when we're talking about death rates, especially among Black women, there are so many things that I learned about myself, about petitioning, understanding how birth works, understanding how what questions you should ask and being okay to ask them. And my goal, the crazy thing was, so I haven't shared this with very many people, so I'm going to be sharing it during this segment. So I actually was planning to do a home birth, and I have been a part of a home birth, and I loved the experience that person had. They were just so like calm and collected. And then, I mean, of course, you know, there was their ups and downs, but she had her midwife there, and she did an amazing job at home with her. And so when I saw that, I was like, I really want to strive for that. And so when I first started this process, I kind of was like in between, I wasn't sure. When I got to my 20-week appointment, when they do the all anatomy scan, that's when I found out my baby has a it's a little condition called CPAP. And it's a very long word. If you guys want to look it up, definitely can. I'll probably try to put the whole thing at the bottom of this segment here. But she has CPAP, so her left lung has all of these cysts in her lungs. And so what the plan is, they're going to be cutting the bottom piece of her left lung off when she's like 2 months, because the lung will actually kind of like grow by itself again to full capacity. She won't have any breathing problems. She's not going to have asthma or anything like that. But the scary thing was during this 20-week scan, and they basically put me back on high risk, and they said I have to be monitored because they were worried about fluid going in her lungs and getting to her heart. So I was like, this is crazy. So my whole plan to deliver at one hospital changed over to going over to this high risk unit. So now I'm in this women's high risk unit. And so now I'm like, okay, so now that I'm going through this, what's the next move? So now I am going to deliver at a hospital. So being at home was not an option. And then my doctor that I was so close with her. Now I'm going to a whole nother doctor, and not just one doctor, but 3 doctors. And I was really uncomfortable with them. But my husband, he works at the hospital. So he built that kind of connection for me. He was like, just trust them. You'll be good. I know these people, they're going to be great. So, so when we were going through this whole process, I found myself, I don't know if you went through this, Kiana, but like after you go through a loss and then you feel like something bad's going to happen, I went through this like very gray phase where I wasn't being conscious of me being pregnant. Like I would just kind of shut that part off because I was like, I need to protect myself from any bad thing that could happen. You know what I mean? And so I literally found myself going into like these very zoned in places. I would focus on my business really hardcore, or I would focus on like cleaning the house, or doing some kind of activity, something that would be zoned in. And I found myself kind of detaching because I was just waiting for this to happen. And so when I decided to actually reach out to my doula Dominique, and I said, hey, how, what's this process? What are we doing? How does this look? I was able to journey that part with her, and she was able to unpack a lot of that stuff. Because I didn't realize that I was even going to need her for that. I was just more for the birth part. And she's just reassuring me like, hey, I'm going to do some research. You're going to do some research, and we're going to find out what's going on. And we're going to figure out what questions we need to ask. And we need to figure out what is best for Max. Even if the doctor said this is what we need to do, let's like do some research. Let's ask some questions. Let's reach out to some health professionals that can give more information. That was so crucial for me. And I didn't even know I was going to need that.
Yes.
That's not something your midwife's going to go through with you. That's not something your doctor's going to go through with you, because of course they're going to spend time with you and help you and go through that process. But your doula is mentally, physically there for you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're mentioning
crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you're bringing that up, because I feel like people don't understand like the depth of, what it means to have a doula. And so I'm glad that you're mentioning that, because I feel like I could kind of resonate with you. I mean, it was different because I didn't have, the complications with my baby, but I do feel like, after having a miscarriage, right? There's that anxiety of like, oh, is the baby gonna make it? Like, when do you like really settle into being pregnant, enjoying your pregnancy, and really kind of going through the journey with as much ease as possible? And I feel like that is a huge role of the doula, because my doula went through all of that with me and kind of talked with me about a lot of things around, being in my body and just kind of being a calm place, because really the whole 9 months is preparing you for birth, right?
Yeah.
And so just kind of explaining how every day up until birth is important, and it will make a difference between having a very high stress and anxiety provoking birth versus a very calm, mellow birth, which is what we all want to have, because your body is doing something amazing and it's a lot of pain, and to be able to sit in that, all of that, in a calm place, that I think that takes a lot of coaching and preparing and support. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because the mental health piece is huge. And I, like you, wanted to have a home birth, but my partner was like, I'm not comfortable with that. But luckily my doula, she talked to me about, she said, don't worry about that. Like, even though you're going to be at the hospital, this is how you and I can advocate for yourself. So we're going to write out your birth plan. We're going to write everything out in detail, and we're going to have you sign it, and we're going to have your midwife sign it. And we're going to give them a copy. We're going to have a copy. And I was like, okay. And she let me know, which, I mean, I am an advocate, and I've been, to a lot of births myself. I've supported moms, right? But of course it's different when you go through it personally.
Yeah.
But I feel like the advocacy piece is huge, because I feel like a lot of our moms, Black moms in particular, it's like you go to the doctor, and it's the doctors. You're not going to question the doctor. They know everything. They're the experts. And it's like, well, no, you are the expert in your life, right? In your feelings and your thoughts and everything. And so I think it's really important for people to understand that you can advocate for yourself and what that looks like and what that means. You can question everything and you can deny everything. And people are like, what? I can do that? I can say that? I can ask for that? And it's like, yeah, it's you and it's your life. Yeah. And so I feel like that was a huge, huge part for me. So I let them know, like, I will not be doing this. I will not be doing this, because they have a standard of practice that they do at the hospital, like strap. So for example, some things that I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So when you go in and you're in labor, they strap the thing around your stomach to monitor the baby's heart rate and do all that. They do that all the way up until the point where you give birth. And and again, I want to make sure I'm clear that not everyone could do everything, right? Because every situation is different.
It's different.
So for me, I had a very healthy pregnancy. The everything was fine. My baby was developing fine. I had with the exception of me having morning sickness for the whole 9 months, I had a very, very healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. Yeah. So when I got there, I was like, I do not want that monitor. I don't want to be sitting in the bed, laying down with that monitor around my stomach for however many hours I'm in labor, right? So they said, okay, fine, we understand. This is something we have to do. So can we, do you mind if we put it on you every hour just to check the baby's heart rate to make sure things are fine? That's completely fine. So that was something, right? Yep. I did not want to have my baby laying down. I said, I'm not doing that. It defies gravity. I'm not doing that. And they were like, fine. Here, you can't squat on the floor, but here's some squat positions you can do on the bed. Exactly. So it was that. I said, I don't want my baby. They put a serum on the baby's eye when the baby's born. I said, don't want that. And of course, this was all in my birthing plan. So don't want that. Don't want my baby to have any shots, the baby's not to be out of my sight or my partner's sight. I mean, unless there's an extreme emergency, the baby stays with us in the room, the whole time. Yeah. And so, and I don't want any Pitocin. I don't want any pain medication. I don't want any of that. And so, they respected that. And so they were very supportive, and it was smooth. It was very smooth. And I think that letting them know even before my birth experience, because I know that at the hospital your particular doctor, these babies come when they feel like it, so there's a chance that your doctor, it might not even be available when you go into labor, right? Yep. So that's why the letter is also important, because whoever would have came, because the lady that actually delivered my baby, I did have a relationship with her, but she wasn't my actual midwife. I had another midwife that wasn't available, but she knew me, and all the information was in my chart.
Yes. Yeah.
So when people would come in or, make suggestions, I kind of overhear it, and she would say, no, no medicine, no pain. She doesn't want anything. Right. And so they already knew, because it was in my chart. It was documented. This is, these are my expectations. Right.
Yes.
And so yeah, I think that, having a plan and understanding the system that you're walking into, right? Because they have a protocol at the hospital of this is how they do things, and being able to be like, okay, that's okay. That's okay. Nope, that's not okay. I think that it's nice to have a doula because they're able to explain that to you.
Exactly.
Well, here's what they offer. Here's what they'll do. Here's what they'll try to do. Even if you say you don't want it, and, just kind of, and making sure that your partner is there in your doula, if she can be, because when you are in labor, you're not in a place to advocate for yourself. So that's also why it's important. So, that your partner can advocate for you too,
Absolutely.
And say, no, we're not doing that, or yeah, we're not doing that. And so, it was, I feel like, I can't preach enough about having a doula. I can't. It's really like having, what I call it is a birth companion.
I love it.
It's a birth companion.
I love it. I love it. And you hit so many good things. And like, even just from, so my husband and I, we just finished our birth plan. So for those that don't know what a birth plan is, it's basically a series of questions. Everything that you're going to do in the hospital before and after, it's a checklist that's going to go over everything. So a lot of times people, when they don't have a birth plan, they're just being sometimes offered things, and they really haven't done enough research, or they may not even fully understand what something is. And so my doula, she went over everything with me and my husband so that we could create our birth plan together. And basically she was like, this is our game plan to help you stay on track. One of the things that I thought was most helpful about this birth plan was the medicated part, because there were so many people that were like, just get the epidural, just get the epidural. You don't have to go through all this pain. You don't have to do all this stuff. Just get the epidural. And I was like, for me, I'm like, and I want to make this straight clear. Like, I'm not saying I would not get an epidural, because like, if it's something I literally cannot contain myself, or I might just have to, right? But the thing that caught me off guard is that there are other medications that they can give you before you get to the epidural. And a lot of times people are only offered the epidural.
That's very true. That's very true.
So, my goal is to have an unmedicated birth, but I was like, what if something happens? What if this, like, literally the birth plan says, these are your options. You can have all this stuff even before you get to the epidural. And so it gave me a sense of peace of saying like, okay, I can get in the bathtub and spend that time there. I can get in the shower and spend that time there. When I do get ready for the labor part, did you know there's a bar above the bed that you can use to grab onto and turn yourself backwards and deliver your baby? And then it really helped my husband to be like, listen, these are the things that we can do. What do you want me to say? What don't you want me to say? How do you want me to navigate and guide? And so, I really like my husband, y'all. If y'all haven't seen some pictures of him, like, he is serious about this whole birthing plan, like birthing journey series, because he's very technical person.
So is mine. And he said the same thing. Now, like, okay, when you're not there, you can't say anything for yourself. What can I absolutely not do or say? Just tell me that part. Sounds just like him.
Yep. And so, we've been reading this book, you guys. So if you guys don't have it and you're pregnant, or somebody, the birth partner, we've been reading this together. This thing is the bomb. Like, it goes through like what's happening with your body in each stage, what's happening before, after. It gives great checklists. It gives a lot of great pain management, things that you can do before you even get to an epidural. And they just let you know, like, this is your guys' experience together. And the thing I love is like, it's talking about what the partner needs to do with the person that's giving birth. And I think that was something that my husband was like, when we got through with our first session, he looked at me and he was like, this is the best investment that we've made. Like, how many women have said like, oh, my boyfriend or husband or spouse, they were not present. They don't.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That is way too common. That I feel I give that to my doula too.
Yeah.
I feel like my doula, he was there every step of the way, the classes, all the education. He got more books than I got to read about babies, pregnancy, and got me. He was out one day talking to he ran into like an old buddy from a long time ago and told him I was pregnant, and he was like, oh yeah, he told me his wife didn't get an epidural, and it was this book that she read that really helped her, and he got the book for me. Like, he was very involved, and even, you know, during the birth, he was like just there, just practicing all the skills. And so it was just really interesting to me, because I hear a lot of women who have really good supportive men in their lives, and they're like, no, I had to kick him out the room, he was not helpful, he was getting on my nerves. And I'm just like, I can't relate to that, because it was like a really good experience with my partner being in alignment with me and being supportive through the birth, and just, it was just everything. So I know that Jason is going to be I feel like it's the doula that, like, through all of our appointments, the doula would even there would be like times when she would just focus on him, like, how are you feeling? What are you thinking about this? All of that kind of stuff. And then even during the postpartum, she checked in on him, because she's like, men experience postpartum too, and it could look different. And so, I can't say enough about how important it is to have a doula.
Oh my goodness. Like, I'm trying not to run over your words, because girl, you are hitting that right on the head. And I think that when you have, like, you know, just hearing people that haven't had the best birthing experience, it does something to the relationship. You know what I'm saying? It really does something to the relationship. It does something to the trust. It does something for that period of time in their journey. And it can be very hard to really find that connection when you've gone through something like this and you feel like you've been alone, you know? And I think one of the things that's really hard, like even my husband was saying, Stephanie, I really don't know what you're feeling. And it's hard because they don't get to feel the kicks. They don't get to feel the movement right away. They don't get to feel, you know, if you have a morning sickness, they might see it and feel that empathy and feel sorry, but they don't feel it. So, you know, it's really, it can be almost disconnecting. And that was something that I had to really like figure out, like, how do I explain and express and connect with my husband? Because in the beginning, I went through, a lot of people don't even talk about this, which is depression that women go through when they first start in their pregnancy journey. Not all women go through it, but I did. I went through a little bit of like mourning my old life. It's really weird. Like,
look, Stephanie, wait till the baby comes, okay?
Wait till the baby comes. It's crazy. It's crazy because, like, you don't think, like, you know, even when you deal with infertility or you've dealt with a baby, losing a baby, you think, like, you know, people are like, oh, you should be so grateful, you should be so, you know, and it's like, it almost smothers those feelings, because you're like, I shouldn't feel like this.
You can hold both feelings true at the same time. You can be tremendously grateful and still mourn and miss your life. It's all appropriate. It's all, we're human. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that you're any less grateful for the blessing that you have. So I hate that language. It's like, oh, you should just, no, I should just be exactly what my body is telling me to be, the feelings that I have.
Exactly. And so, you know, when you go through that first trimester, you know, not knowing what's going to happen, you're going through all those different things. And then when you introduce that doula, for me, it really set a whole nother level of intimacy with my partner. Like, I feel like pregnancy, and another thing people don't talk about too, pregnancy can be kind of nasty. Like, your body's changing. You got, you're passing gas all the time. You got all kinds of stuff. Like, me, I've got super senses. Like,
The
it's
gas
just
is
like, I feel like
ridiculous.
there's so many things that have changed about my body. And I'm like, what is happening? And I remember my husband, I'm busting him out on this. He gonna laugh. He's like, babe, he was like that. He was like, but you know what though? He was like trying to be positive. He's like, it's kind of cool because it's like a transformer. I said, a transformer.
That's sweet.
Compare me to a transformer. But in reality, with his technical mind, it is like that. Like, you're like changing into this person that, you know, from head to toe, you know, for some women, like for me, I was losing my hair in the beginning. I was like going through
Wait till the baby's born.
girl. I'm like, I was like, I really hope that I was losing my hair in the beginning because that's not gonna happen at the end. So I don't even know. But you know, but my doula for real, but my doula really like kind of helped me unpack a lot of that stuff and unpack a lot of those feelings. And so, and then also unpack my husband being more of a leader in the area of birthing and being ready, and exactly what you're talking about, your spouse, which was or your partner, that you basically were saying he was ready. Like, the doula may not be there, and that was my big thing. I was like, I don't want to go in the room with him because he don't he don't know what he's doing. I don't want to be with him. Like, I am not trying to have him on his phone like looking up stuff like try this, try that, try this.
No, you know? it was I feel like what also was helpful with him and my doula is that she talked to him and explained to him how it's really difficult for your man to see you going through so much pain. And so I feel like she prepped him for that. And when, you know, after everything was said and done, I was talking to him, I told him how great of a job he did. He told me like, it took everything out of me not to break down because I felt like there was nothing that I could do to take away your pain. And you know, men, they want to fix everything. And it's like, let's just fix it. They're black and white, technical thinkers usually. And so, but I didn't, you know, he was able to, I think the prep for that piece was helpful because he did a good job, but he was telling me like, it was very, very difficult for me, like, to see you just like really in pain like that. So
yeah, it's like, it's so interesting because like we don't, like where we're at, we don't really know what to expect. Like, I just know like this is about to like go, I don't know what this experience is gonna be like. I don't know what this pain is gonna be like. I don't know what this story is gonna look like. I don't know if he's gonna pass out. I don't know nothing. I'm like, I'm trying to like, I know, I'm just like thinking all these things. And you know, he was like, Dominique has prepared me. And we were reading this book. We're going to be ready. It's going to be completely different than what the book is saying. He was like, but we have tons of tools. And I think
and that's key.
Key. That's key
because you really
everybody say this.
Yeah, you really don't know. Honestly, you really don't know how it's going to turn out because you can have all these plans up the wazoo, but I mean, to be real, those plans could go out the window because of an emergency or whatever. So I feel like my doula prepared me like, I know that this is what you want and this is how you want it to be, but I also want you to be clear that there is a possibility that because of the way that life works, and I'm a Virgo and I'm a control freak, and so is my doula.
I already know.
And so is my doula. She's a
Virgo cup.
She's a Virgo too, and she's like, so we get really in our plan, and if it don't work out, like, and she just like, I want you to keep in mind that we have a plan, but sometimes things don't always go according to plan, and so that is okay too, because what we ultimately want is a healthy mom and a healthy baby. That's what we want. So if the plan goes out the window and then we still get the end result, we're good. So I feel like, you know, that it was nice to hear that too. Like, you know, we have a plan, so that makes you feel good, but understanding that if the things don't go according to plan, that doesn't mean that all is lost. And so so I think that was important. And I want to say one other really, really key important thing that she shared with me, and I never thought about it this way. She said, you know, throughout her journey as being a doula, she had, you know, black and white clients, and she's primarily Black clients, and she's a Black doula. She told me that what she noticed the difference was between white moms and Black moms is that white moms, they had no like hurry. Like when they got to their 39 to 40 weeks, they weren't like, oh, this baby needs to come on, come. And so she said that she realized that trend. And she also realized that it made a difference in the delivery as well. And so she shared with me that because it came up because she told me that she didn't feel a sense of urgency from me. And she said it's rare. She said, a lot of Black moms are just like, I'm over being pregnant, I'm stressed out, for whatever reasons,
Yeah.
And so she was explaining to me how that was really important to just let the process come. Like, of course you could be, tired, your body's changing, it's getting to, getting the best of you. But she's like, the baby is going to come. When the baby comes, just let it, let it be, And so she just was talking to me about that piece. And she said that, move, like at that point in her practice, she incorporated that into her, doula situation, because she noticed that like it makes a difference overall. Like just being okay with allowing the baby to come when she wants to come, even if it's at 41 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So my baby was at 38, but I just knew. It's so funny because they're like, it's the first time baby. She's definitely gonna go past 40 weeks. All these things that is first time, right?
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
And I didn't experience any of that. My baby came at 38 weeks. She came like she was ready. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. There are a few other things that they said was going to happen, and that just didn't happen for me. So I just feel like it's, there's some things that are common, but, like my doula even told me, she's like, don't worry, when you're in labor, you will know. You will not question it. I was in labor for 5 hours. And I thought I had to go to the bathroom. And I thought I had gas, and I thought I had to go to the bathroom. And no, I was in labor. And by the time I got to the hospital, they told me I was at 6 or 7 centimeters. So, so it's just different. People's pain tolerance, people's level of anxiety or stress. I think it all plays a part. And so I didn't know. I was in labor. I did not know. Wow. It wasn't intense pain for me.
Wow. And you know what, too, what I've been reading is that, because, and for those, I want to make sure no one misunderstands what I'm saying when I say this, but it's a true statement. For those that are very spiritual and they look to the Bible a lot for answers, which I am very spiritual. Everybody knows, like, I'm very hippy dippy kind of person. But the Bible, it talks a lot about, in the beginning when Eve sinned, childbirth, it's supposed to be this painful thing. It's part of the curse, right? And so they were talking about how, yes, this is a part of the spiritual piece that we have learned, but we've got to do a huge transformation as generations come and look at childbirth very differently.
Oh,
and look at this, as a sin.
I'm so glad you're saying this. I'm so glad that you're saying this, because
it's scary. You literally are watching women scream half to death. And like, and if you've ever looked at, if you guys ever look at it's a documentary called The Business of Being Born, The Bomb. If you have not seen it, you need to go watch it. The Business of Being Born documentary. It is by Ricky Lake. But it shows you the process of back in the day, how they used to labor. And so they got women like strapped down the eyes, they're strapped down to the bed, their legs are strapped down. This is back in the day. And then they used to give them different drugs that would make them hallucinate. And they said they would lock them in this room, and the women would be like crawling up the walls, and like some of them would even peel their skin off because they were just in so much pain, hallucinations, all kinds of craziness. it's insane. You guys have to watch this. And then there's a part in there, where it talks about, this transition that happened, which is, the man used to not be able to be in the delivery room, and now men are allowed to be in the delivery room. They're changing the narrative of what birth should be like. And so for me, I have been really trying to work on that visualization. If you guys don't know what that is, that's like visualizing yourself giving birth, going from the process from beginning to start, or start to end, and what is it going to be like. And one of the things that I've been really focused on is meditation and talking to my baby. We call her baby Max, because in the beginning we didn't know if she was a girl or a boy, and Max is kind of like a gender neutral name, but we're going to eventually find another name, but we call her Max. I don't know what her name's going to be, but I feel like I need to see her face, like, to name her. I don't want to give her a name and not see her face. So anyways, that's another podcast. So and so, you're doing this visualization, and you're trying to get yourself in a place where you accept the pain that is going to happen, but you're not going to accept the pain overcoming or taking over your body. And even just talking to my baby and saying, okay, Max, we're going to get ready for your big day. It's going to be your birthday. And so we've got to get ready for that. That means you got to listen to mom, and you got to, work with us. And, you're going to go through this process, and you're going to go down this little area, and you don't have to be afraid, because mom is going to be there. Dad is going to be there. It's like, it sounds crazy as heck, because when I first I heard this, I was like, this is stupid. And but literally, your baby can hear everything that you're talking about. They sense that, they understand that. And I'm kind of on the opposite end, where I'm just like, I want my baby to stay in my stomach forever, because like I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But my pregnancy has been really, really awesome. Like, it's been such a, like I always tell people, like, it's just been so easy. And there's little hiccups and things like that, but like really mentally getting myself to a point, like, it's okay. She has this. It's okay if this is going on. Like, there's a fix for this. There's a cure for this. There's a process for this, and really coaching myself through that whole mental state, because a lot of it is mental. A lot of it becomes physical. And so, I think we have a real work to do with the next generation and our generation, of really seeing the beauty in birth versus seeing this is a punishment, and we deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely don't buy into the curse or see it as a curse. I'm also not a Christian, so that there's that. But the spiritual piece, there is a spiritual aspect of it completely. That my doula shared with me. And childbirth, being pregnant, it's a very spiritual experience. It is not an earthly thing. It's really not. And in terms of the pain, the way that my doula explained the pain to me was that, like you said, like you expect it and don't let it overtake you, right? That's huge. But she also talked to me about, we did a lot of work around my mother wound, and she told me that I could channel that like emotional pain with my birth, and she said that would or could make it more bearable. And for me, I feel like that was it. Really,
explain that to me. Like, talk to me a little bit about this. This is interesting to me. So
even saying it out loud now, it's just a little bit kind of mind blowing and hard to explain it. But it's like, we all, I won't say we all, but a lot of us, because I know you have a great mom and a great relationship with your mom. So I think it's different for someone who has, a very contentious relationship with their mom, like myself. And so basically, she just told me that, childbirth could be used to channel the emotional pain. Because if you channel it there into a physical pain, the emotional pain is always going to overtake the physical pain. And so I feel like that was huge, because honestly, I won't say that it wasn't painful, but all of the stories that I heard, and all of the, like you said, women screaming at the top of their lungs, like, that doesn't resonate with me, because that was not my experience. I didn't feel like it was completely unbearable. That just wasn't my experience. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was a piece of cake or it didn't hurt at all. I just don't feel like it rose to the level of pain that I was expecting. And when the water broke, that's when the real pain came. And I talked to my baby like, come on, Keelani, come on now. So, but yeah, I feel like I was just really prepared for the pain in a different type of way. And it was so impactful that my sister-in-law, she had a baby 6 months after my baby was born. And I was talking to her. So her first, she had she's either 8 or 9, an 8 or 9 year old. And she was younger. She had a C-section because, that's also something that they give us unnecessarily a lot. And so she had a C-section, and with the C-section, they're always like, we're going to just plan for the next one to be a C-section. And don't get me wrong, they are necessary in some cases, but that's not always the case. And so 9 years had gone by, maybe even 10. I don't remember how old she is, but she said that they wanted to schedule a C-section, but she's like, I think, a lot of time has gone by, and I might be able to try naturally. And I said, well, I would encourage you to try naturally. She didn't have any issues. Very, very healthy pregnancy, no issues, no complications. But they wanted to schedule a C-section. And I'm like, let's just try it. She always jokes and calls me her doula. But I said, just try it. And I also talked to her a lot about the pain because she was worried. She had a C-section, so she didn't understand having a baby vaginally. So we talked, and then the day came, and she was in labor for probably 2 days. And so she was like, it was painful, but I was talking her through it, and she's like, yeah, it hurts, but it's just like, I could do this. So by the time she got to the hospital, she did decide to get an epidural, which she was going to try not to, but the pain was a lot for her. And so she did decide to get an epidural, and it worked out though. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? It worked out but to me, she did say the pain got to a point where it was unbearable, right? But up until that point that she got the epidural, it wasn't like she was just like overtaken. She was like, this is a lot. I don't know if I can do it without the epidural, but this is a lot kind of thing. And she ended up getting an epidural. But anyway, I feel like that was a success story because she was able to, and I encouraged her to labor as much as possible at home. So by the time she got to the hospital, she was ready. She got the epidural and the baby came. And so, but I just feel like if she didn't have that support, it could have went differently, because being in labor for an extended period of time at the hospital, they want to hurry up. Everything's about numbers. Everything's about money. So then they start administering Pitocin, and they start doing all this other stuff that's unnecessary, right? So she labored at home for a whole 24 hours. So by the time she got to the hospital, she was ready. And I had talked to her about all this stuff and everything like that, which of course, even though she had a baby, she was younger, she had a C-section, and she still didn't have the information. So just because you have children, it doesn't mean you have the information. You know what I'm saying? The information and the advocacy is crucial. And so I feel like that's why, even if you don't hire a doula, because I was encouraging her to do it, she's like, I have you. And I'm not a doula. But even if you don't have a doula, you need that support. You need that education. You need that advocacy so you can feel empowered. Because she was also one of the ones like, they told me I had to do this. They told me I had to do this. And I'm like, you don't have to. If you want to do it, that's different. I don't want you to feel forced. And with like all the shots and all the stuff they offer you during your pregnancy, which I took none of, right? And so she was just like, well, they said if I don't do this, and I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to do that. It's a scare tactic kind of thing, you know? And it's just like, your doula is there to just support you through all of that. It doesn't mean that you don't have to do those things, but at least if you make a decision to do those things, it's an informed decision. It's not a decision because you feel obligated or because that's just how they do everything and everybody. No, I feel like everyone has a choice to do what's right and works for them, right? But I feel like that needs to be done in an educated way.
Absolutely. And the thing that's really interesting even about what you're talking about is, and for some people, they're going to be like, why do you say that word? But I'm going to say it anyways. Our relationship with our vagina is so, can be so negative. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so we don't really know about like what it's supposed to do. How does it work? We just know don't have sex and don't have no babies when you're... For some of us, I don't know. Some of us grew up like that. I know I did. My mom was like, girl, they're going to work.
Mine too.
Yeah. And so, our relationship with our bodies, the whole process, there's such a disconnect. You know what I mean? And it's like, we don't do any pre-work before we even get pregnant to make that relationship happen.
Oh, yeah.
We make the relationship happen once we're pregnant, and sometimes it's not enough time because we're unpacking so much stuff, that fear, are we being pushed through the hospital? Are we being pushed to do different things that we don't want to do? Do we know enough about certain things that we want to do? And that's the reason why, I'm with you when I really recommend people to get a doula, somebody that is there to support them and take them through this process mentally. And also, take your partner through the process with you so that you can have a supportive person and understands like, hey, this is what she wants. This is not what she wants. This is what we're, doing. And one of the things that I love about my doula, she was saying like, I'm not there to petition for you. I'm there to teach you. And so that you and your partner can do this thing and you guys can do it together. And it's going to be a beautiful process,
Yes.
And that is what I'm really like, that's what I've been focusing on. That's what I've been visualizing, is to have this relationship with this experience in a very different way, And I find it so ironic that like in United States, we are so heavily focused on having a baby in a hospital when the rest of the world that has, these hospitals that are considered undeveloped, they're not good. Their practices aren't as great as ours, but they have the lowest death rate among babies.
Say it again. Say it again. Okay.
So, we have to get out of this mentality of this is the only way you could have a baby. This is the only way that you can experience labor and birth in your body, and really give yourself the opportunity to say, I want to experience this thing in a very unique way, so that I could have a different bond. Even the different drugs that they give you, one of the reasons why I didn't want to get an epidural, or I hope not to get an epidural, like I want to make sure I give myself always an opening. Like that's my number one thing. Like my goal is not to have an epidural, unmedicated birth, do my thing. But one of the reasons why is because it suppressed certain hormones. They call them the love hormones, that connect the mother and the baby, and so when you have that suppression, it can lead to other things such as postpartum and all of these different things. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, Keyonia, was what were some of the things that you did to really take care of yourself after you had the baby?
Before I answer that, I want to point out that a doula, I'm glad you mentioned like we don't think about our bodies and all of that when we're preparing or thinking about being pregnant, or for some of us, it just kind of happens. And so doulas are also for moms who are considering or planning. So you don't have to be pregnant. Doula serves many purposes. So if you're planning or thinking about it, a doula can support you in that way. Yes. And a doula can also support you if you've had a miscarriage as well.
Yes. So, I was going to mention that later on, but no, let's actually jump into that real quick, because a lot of people don't understand, like when you do go through a loss or you're dealing with infertility, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like in complete shock when I found out like you have doulas that cover this whole span of emotional support.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you don't have to do it by yourself.
All things birth related, infertility, loss, chronic loss, issues, just female issues down there that you're going through that could be preventing you from getting pregnant or making it harder. Like a doula is there to support all things womb related, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if your baby has maybe like, some kind of genetic situation going on, and like even just being okay with going through the process with your baby and accepting that the child's like life journey. There's so many pieces that I did not know that I could have, done for myself more mentally, that it's crucial. So sorry about that. I had to jump in there with
No, that's okay. So that's a good segue into postpartum. My doula was there with me, and I had
how long did your doula stay with you after you had the baby?
She stayed with me 8 weeks after, 8 weeks
Okay.
postpartum. And so
Okay.
that was really hard for me. I had really, really, really severe postpartum. I was just emotionally just like, oh my God, can I do this? I don't want to mess up my baby. I don't want to, just do anything wrong. I just had like so much anxiety. And I know that it was postpartum because it wasn't nothing bad was happening. It was a very like calm and safe environment. I had my doula, I had my partner, I had my mother-in-law. Everything was chill. We had everything we needed.
Yeah.
And I just was emotionally just like distraught. Like I just could not be okay. And so my doula came over several times a week and like, just really helped me with that and just affirming me like, you're doing great. Everything is fine. She would look at the baby, she would hold the baby and she'd be like, she's doing great. You're doing great with feeding her. And there was, I love to tell this story. There was a time where like the doctors had said my baby wasn't getting enough breast milk, and that's a whole another podcast, as you would say. But needless to say, she's 17 months, still nursing like she's a newborn baby. But anyway, still going strong. But I was just like really obsessed with like, I don't have any breast milk. It's not enough breast milk. And so my doula came over, she gave me a massage and she's like, you have milk, it's there. Stop telling yourself that, because if you keep telling yourself like that, your milk's going to dry up.
Yeah.
And she spent an hour literally with her hands squeezing breast milk out of each of my boobs into a glass. And she was like, see, you have breast milk. You have breast milk. It's just fine. You have breast milk. Like, you need to relax yourself and work on this anxiety because you have milk, and you will probably have more if you would just lower your anxiety. But yeah, she literally, I mean, I'm just naked, okay, on the couch. She's like, she tells my partner, can you bring me a glass? And I'm like, what? And she's like, I'm going to show you that you have milk. So he's holding the baby. She's got a glass held up to my boob, literally squeezing, massaging my boob, squeezing, and the milk is just coming out. And so I just yes. So
I love that story. I
me
mean,
too. I told it.
I love it.
I was on a panel for it was called Black in Birthing, and I was on the panel, and we were also talking about the importance of having a doula. And I told that story because I feel like a doula is sacred. It's a sacred experience. It's and you have to pick one that fits, because squeezing the milk out of my boobs. Okay.
Yeah.
So you gotta be
intimate. It's intimate. It's
very, very intimate.
Yeah.
Very intimate. You have to be comfortable with this person seeing you naked. You got to be comfortable with this person seeing you like almost as comfortable as you are with the person that put the baby in there.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. It's so true, because you know what? It's like, I was even doing some research, like, and I looked at like every single like kind of culture. It doesn't matter from Black to Irish to, I guess just to say African, Jamaican, specific groups, right? That we all come from. You cannot find the birthing experience not being celebrated, or there's like some intimate connection with a community of women that are there, that are helping you go through this process. And I almost feel like every single place you can find these doulas and midwives, because they're so key to the birthing experience. And it was it's a beautiful, I don't want to say ritual, but that's the only thing I can think of right now, a beautiful ritual into a whole nother level of womanhood, and it's something that, I didn't think I was going to experience, because I was just like, I really don't know what's going to happen. And I have to accept whatever journey I'm going to go on. But really understanding that these pieces are extremely crucial to our success, and so that we can do it. And for a lot of single women who feel like they don't have support, that don't feel like they have a supportive spouse, doulas come in handy. And and there's so many doulas out there that are working either on sliding scales,
or
grant,
even pro bono,
because they want to see more people have opportunities in having a great birthing experience.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I just started talking a lot about is like, kind of my aftercare, and, making sure that I go to acupuncture, making sure I have a therapist. Like, I'm looking up right now, I'm searching for a therapist that I can meet with weekly, even if there's nothing wrong, you know what I mean?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. I did that. I had therapy. I had, I met with the chiropractor regularly. I got regular massages during my pregnancy.
Yep.
And so I didn't really keep up on it after, but I'm sure it would have helped more with my postpartum if I did. But yeah, it's just, you really got to pour into yourself, because it's a lot. Your body is really going through a lot. And it's just different for everyone, it's different for everyone. And so
it is.
I didn't expect to experience postpartum, and people even told me, it's probably going to happen. And I was thinking, whatever, everything's fine. Yeah. Why would I? And boom, it happened. It happened, and it was big. And I don't feel like it was it's not like it happens because of things are good or bad. I feel like it just happens to women because of the hormones, or whatever.
Yeah, hormones are no joke.
Things outside of our control. So I just feel like I had a pretty amazing situation, and I still had postpartum really bad. And honestly, I still feel like I'm coming out of it. It's definitely way, way better, but I still kind of feel like I'm coming out of it, just with my issues and anxiety just around my baby and attachment stuff. I feel like it's still working its way all the way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true.
17
it's so
months
true
now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we have to have more conversations about is, the power of we instead of I. You know what I mean? There's so much in society that's telling us that you can do it on your own, or you don't need anybody. But many of us come from communities and historical ancestry, come from communities, and we miss that, where we don't have that bond, and we don't have that community, and we
village.
Yes. And even just that sisterhood, you know what I mean? I always joke with my husband about having a sister wife. He's like, you ain't getting a sister wife. Ain't no one,
Listen, it's funny that you joke with. Listen, it's funny that you say that. I told my partner that we have an agreement. That is the only condition under which we will have another baby. I'm so serious, okay? I need a sister wife. That is literally the only way we can have another baby. And we pinky squared on it. Yep, okay. That's the only way. And as of right now, we don't want anymore. So if that changes, just know I'm going to have a sister wife, and I don't need none of y'all judging me.
My gosh. I'm like, I mean, like you literally, when you have a village of women that care for you, love for you, connect with you, is so important. I think that's why, even for me, like during going through this process, it's like been so emotional for me, because I'm like, I want my mom with me. I want his mom with me. I want his dad there. I want my dad there. I want my brothers there. Like, because it's something inside of us. I feel like that we recognize that the community, if it's healthy, and if they're supportive, you want them to be around your child,
You need it too. You need it. You and your partner need it too. And I feel like that is one big thing that I learned from my experience, is that I need a village. And that's also another reason why the whole sister wife thing. I don't, most of my family's on the East Coast, so I don't have everyone here. So I feel like the village piece is really, really, really big. So we need that. You need people there comforting you emotionally. You need people there cleaning your house. You need people there
Yeah.
feeding you. You
Yeah.
need all of that, because
Yeah.
you and your partner need all of that, because
Yeah.
y'all need to be able to sit and just really focus on the baby and become adjusted to this new life, to the new life, to the new lifestyle. So
I
it's a
love it.
lot.
I
It's a
love
lot.
it. You guys, I hope you got a lot from this segment, y'all. You know, if you didn't get the main message, girl, get a doula, okay? Get yourself a doula, okay? I'm telling
ASAP.
you, I literally have searched high and low for someone to take this journey with my husband and I have not looked back on this one bit. I have not said to myself, you know, why did I waste my money? Why did I do this? And I'm pretty sure there's some crappy doulas out there. So if you a crappy doula, you just keep on keeping on. You know what I'm saying? We talk about people that are gonna be supportive and gonna show up. But you know, we want people to understand that the birthing experience does not have to be something that just you have to go into this blind and you can go into this, you know, not knowing and having information that you can really develop and grow and learn and be able to pass that knowledge on to other women. Like I love what you were talking about, your cousin or your sister-in-law, Keyonia, passing on the knowledge. That is what this is all about, you know, empowering one another to make those changes, to make those shifts in our life, and to really be able to enter in this whole new life and be okay with it. And I want to make sure I make this super clear. A doula doesn't just, you know, they're not there just to help you have a unmedicated birth. Regardless if you're having a C-section, you're having a epidural, you're having a non-medicated birth, whatever type of birth you want to have, they are there to support you and help you achieve, like exactly what you said, Keyonia, that goal. You know, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully we'll be rolling out some other segments. We were saying like, this got to be another podcast. This got to be another podcast. Because there's just so much to this process. But we just want to really reiterate the importance of having a doula during this time, to not only be able to have somebody petition for you to help you grow, learn, and really be successful in your birth, but to have an experience that you won't forget, and it doesn't always have to be this traumatic thing. Keyonia, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with before we close out?
Yeah, I would just say, even if you are not pregnant, but you're considering in the near future, I would encourage you to talk with a doula, or, you know, do some research on, you know, who's around, who's available. And I would encourage Black women to find a Black doula. I think that's also really important, because there's just a lot of complexities with childbirth and, you know, being a Black mom in this country. So I would encourage every Black mom to do more research and, you know, research your surrounding areas to see, you know, what are the prices looking like, what are some services they offer, and maybe interview a few and see which one you may or may not click with. So I just encourage all Black moms to get a doula. Even if you're like Stephanie and you have a huge support system around you, it can still be really, really helpful.
Absolutely. It's nothing like it. And that's such good advice, Keyonia. If people want to connect with you, where can they connect with you? Because a lot of people don't know that actually you mentioned it in the beginning, but I want to mention again, you are a licensed therapist. And so, you know, people can reach out to you for counseling, and she does tons of other stuff. So where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram. My handle is KEYTW.
Awesome. You guys, you know what? I hope you got so much from this. I hope it's sending you all kinds of strength and love. Until next time, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you. Bye.